Howdy y'all, and thanks for joining us for our houseboat build. This is just the second episode in our new houseboat build. We're calling this one the do-over, so you'll be able to follow all these videos. We're going to put them in a playlist together to make it easy for you to keep up with them. What we decided to go with on the outside of this boat was an exterior that looks similar to a log cabin. We had talked about doing the vinyl siding that looks like wood, but there are a lot of these little cabins around here that have this siding that looks kind of like board and batten siding. And what we used to achieve this was some very thin Luan, which is really light, and then we went over it with 1x2 strips. We coated it all with a marine grade sealant and stain. And what these strips do is they actually give the boat two frames. They're attached to the aluminum deck of the boat and then also to the edge of the roof rafters. So it will help hold the boat together going down the road in the wind and also in storms. It will make it easier to tow and much sturdier. The only thing we are even slightly concerned about is the weather getting to the Luan. We're hoping that that sealant will protect it enough so that it lasts for years and years and years. As long as we maintain the sealant on it, we may have to recoat it every few years. The windows that we purchased used, you can see them there, they're aluminum frame windows, so they're pretty light, single pane. It will have two of these in each side, and we may do a small round window behind them just to kind of give the boat some shape. But there won't be much more behind those windows because that's where our bathroom is going. I'm going to show you the stuff that we managed to get out of the camper, most of the stuff that we managed to get out of the camper, but the inside is not finished at all. Everything's just kind of sitting in there, and there's all kinds of building materials laying around. We've got some props under the roof that are just stuck in there temporary. We added some to the deck, the front deck, and made it bigger. I have a small folding table that was actually a Mother's Day gift from Alex. Thank you, Alex. There will be a window beside this door here on the front, and that folding table will mount right there so that we'll be able to actually sit out on the deck and eat if we want, or sit out on the deck when we're cruising down the lake. If you remember the last boat, there wasn't even really room for a chair on the deck. But this one is plenty big enough. We also used some much sturdier material on the front corners and the back corners. We used 4x4 posts because we don't want to have to worry about this roof blowing off when we're going down the road. And we also don't want to worry about it collapsing in snowstorms. You know that is a problem around here. A few years ago there was a big snowstorm and a lot of houseboats collapsed. A lot of marina roofs collapsed. We had a boat that was damaged. For the roof joists, we went with a 1x4 frame, and then we ran some 1x4s the entire length of the boat and used those for slats. We got a really good deal on those at a surplus building supply. And if you're doing something like this, check your area for those surplus building supply places because you can pick up some great deals. The best deal that we got there was the Luan that we used. We actually got it for $2 a sheet, which is like a tenth of what it is in regular building supply centers. If you've ever been caught in a barn or another structure with a metal roof, a garage or something in a thunderstorm, you know it is absolutely deafening. If you don't know what that sounds like, you can go back and look at some of our old videos where we had to go into a marina and take shelter during a storm and it had a metal roof. You literally could not hear yourself think. So what we did is we used some 1/2-inch foam board between our framing and the tin on our roof all through the cabin of the boat to deaden that sound. Alright, let's go up in here and look at the inside. Like I said, ignore the mess, the fact that everything's just kind of sitting in here and laying in here and propped in here. All these props are not going to be here. That's just temporary. Inside you can see what it's going to look like down this side anyway. The two windows inside. There will be a pull-out bed up here in the front. And right behind the pull-out bed we will have the helm. And then the bathroom will be down here in this end. This is the shower and the tub out of the camper. They haven't been mounted yet. They're just sitting here. There will be a door here in the back so you have access to the motor. There's the kitchen sink. We took it out of the old camper. It'll be going up in the kitchen here. But we'll put our propane tanks and things like that back here. Smells that we don't want inside the boat, and anything explosive will go back here. It won't be, or the cabin will not be exposed to any of that kind of stuff. We did have to cut the bottom off of the big storage cabinet that we managed to get out of the camper because the boat roof is not as high as the camper roof. Down this side we're going to have the table and the seats out of the camper, and it will make a bed, which will be extra sleeping area if we take somebody with us, our grandkids, or maybe even one of our kids, my mother-in-law, something like that. We did get the main part of the kitchen cabinets, and we have the stove. It's sitting outside here. So we're going to have the sink, the stove. The range hood will go over this window, but this window will be moved up, and it will be like the one on this side where it only has a few inches above it. So there won't be room for any top cabinets, but there will be room for the range hood. And somewhere in here I'm going to mount the microwave, because you can use a microwave with solar power and an inverter, and it doesn't take that much electricity, and it's faster and easier than lighting a stove every time you want to just warm something up a little bit. The cabinet is still in pretty good shape. We're going to put the stove back in it, like I said, and the sink back in it. But this countertop got wet. It got wet in the camper because the faucet was leaking. And it got wet after we put it in here because everything obviously isn't closed in yet. I wanted to replace this anyway, and I think I'm probably going to go with a small piece of butcher block counter. You can get it, you know, thin like this so it won't weigh too much. And it's not that big anyway, so even if I went with something thicker, it wouldn't weigh that much just because there's not much of it. This window by the table, I don't think we're going to move it, but we might. It would be a lot of work, and we did use the old frame from the other houseboat just to make it quicker. And we may have to move that window back so it's centered more toward the table, and also so it doesn't cut off, you know, go down behind the corner of the counter there. We don't want to do that, but we'll see how that works out. This one, though, definitely has to go up. The floor, I don't know if you've ever had a houseboat or a pontoon boat or not, but you know the first thing that gets destroyed is the carpet. And because we have this aluminum deck, we never ever have to worry about the floor rotting. And I think what we're going to do inside the cabin is we're going to use carpet tiles, and we're going to go around everything, because this kind of houseboat is water resistant, but it's never going to be completely waterproof, because sometimes they dip down in storms or even in the wake from other boats, and they take water all up on the bow of the boat, and it can actually run through the door and everything. It can take on so much. But the carpet tiles could be replaced if some of them get damaged in the front without having to replace all of them. And I don't think we're going to go up under any cabinets or anything. We're going to go around everything so that they're really easy to replace if they get damaged, and we don't have to deal with nasty, stained, smelly carpet. If they get damaged, we'll just take them out and replace what's damaged. Out here on the front, you can see some of the old carpet that still has not come up, and because this had an aluminum frame, or has an aluminum frame, we were able to burn most of the old carpet off, but this just still has not come up. Even with burning it and scraping it, there's still this much of it left. Getting carpet off of a wooden deck on a pontoon boat, I have no idea how you would do it. But we're going to scrape this up out here and clean up this aluminum on the front really good. And then stain it. You can see over here where a little bit of stain was just drip. And it stains so that it looks similar to wood. So we're probably going to stain it with the same stain that we're using for the walls so it kind of matches. And just leave it like this because it's got these nice skid resistant treads here. So I don't see any need to put down carpet out here and have it get wet. We'll just leave it like it is, just the aluminum. It looks good and it'll dry pretty quick if it gets wet and not smell bad or be soggy or get heavy because it's wet. But that's kind of where we're at right now, and that's the ideas that we have for finishing it. Stick around. We're going to maybe shoot some video of us doing some of the stuff on the boat. We'll keep you up to date on what materials we're using, what problems we run into, and how we're solving them. Click like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss anything. We really appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you again real soon.